Hello everybody, thank you for coming today and thank you for staying so long. We are the Jamf capstone team and our team project name this semester is Legendary, building a secure Jamf Pro education experience. We'll start off by introducing our sponsor and our team. And our sponsor this semester is Jamf, and our contact at Jamf was Amelia Peasley. She is the support training and development manager. My name is Jordan Hasberg. I am the team lead as well as infrastructure manager.
Derek Blomberg, I was the senior computer administrator.
Jerry, the mobile device admin.
And I'm Liv Schneider, the content development manager.
And to give you a brief overview of our plan for today, we are going to give a brief history on Jamf's history, as well as what Jamf Pro is, our Learning Center pilot, how Jamf Pro works, a live demo, and finally our conclusion.
So first we're going to dive into a little bit of history of Jamf as a company. It was founded back in 2002 by Zach Helmstead and Chip Pearson. Zach was a UWEC student and a graduate, and his job on campus was in the IT department to manage over 400 different Macs. Well, one day he wanted to make his job a little more efficient, so he took the initiative and made a software which was called Casper Suite, and now it is known as Jamf Pro. And from then, now Jamf is going into a company with over 600 plus global employees and in offices in over 9 different countries. Now, what is Jamf Pro? It is a mobile device management software used for small businesses, enterprises, and education purposes. Now, what is mobile device management? It's a security software used to manage, deploy, and secure multiple mobile devices across the network.
And you might be asking yourself, why would you need or want a mobile device management software? Well, it makes for a centralized management point for all the devices on your network, which also leads to increased security and a spectacular end user experience, which is exactly what we are tasked to implement.
So this semester, our capstone team was tasked with providing a mobile device management solution for a fictional school district called the Learning Center. They are going to be using Apple devices on their education campus, and they plan to roll out 2,000 more devices in the future, and they're looking for a solution to manage and make that a little bit easier on their IT staff. So some of the things that we were tasked to do with this project this semester is create the Learning Center pilot, which is a small classroom pilot which demonstrates all of the features live in a classroom environment. Our white paper that we have been working on throughout the semester that details all of the steps that we went through and all the features that we have been using. This presentation we are giving you right now, as well as a live demonstration of all of the features that we have been working on throughout the semester. Some of the features that we have been required to put into our Learning Center pilot include BYOD, which is bring your own device, which allows students and teachers to bring their own Apple devices or any devices onto the network and keep it a secure area. We also have application deployments, both automatic and manual, device inventory to keep track of all the devices, ebook rollout for students and teachers to have ebooks and PDFs available to them, as well as customization for the home screen and the lock screens of the devices to make it a little easier to know exactly what is the device is for. We also have security. We're using FileVault 2 to secure all of our Mac devices. We also have app restriction to keep students and teachers from using things they shouldn't be using in the classroom environment. And we also have lost and stolen policies in the event that a device does in fact go lost on campus. And finally, we are optimizing the Learning Center pilot for student engagement. We have Casper Focus, which keeps students and teachers engaged in the classroom. And we also have AirPlay, which creates an interactive learning environment.
So now that we know a little bit about what Jamf is, we're going to talk a little bit more about how it actually works to be utilized at the Learning Center. So to first start off, to be able to use Jamf Pro, you would access it through the Jamf software server. It's a web application that can be installed and hosted on a device. In the JSS, you're able to perform inventory, remote management, and configure tasks. So as a part of inventory, once devices are registered in the JSS, you're able to obtain information about it hardware and software-wise. For instance, battery capacity and storage size of the devices. With this information, you're able to determine the life cycle of devices, whether or not if any hardware aspects needs to be changed or software policies that need to be pushed out. And along in the JSS, you're able to configure profiles. This is essential to teachers and instructors when they want to connect to a printer on a device. You can push out these policies to these devices so instructors can utilize printers or network printers on the school campus. along with manage local accounts on these devices by assigning instructors to specific devices. Second thing is app management. As a JSS admin, you're able to restrict application in the JSS. For instance, with 2,000 devices and children running with these devices, obviously they're probably going to be downloading games or going to inappropriate sites. So we want to make sure that these devices are restricted for those policies so they won't be able to do that. And security, as Liv mentioned earlier, once devices are registered in the JSS, it enforces Apple encryptions to these devices, such as iOS will be using passcodes and Mac will be using Firewall. And the other feature is lost mode, in which we will be demoing later. And how exactly will JSS be optimized for students and teachers? As Liv mentioned earlier, one of the features that the JSS has is Casper Focus. With this feature, instructors are able to control the device's environment in a classroom. So for instance, if a teacher wants students to take a certain quiz, the instructor can push out the application to these devices so students can utilize and take it, along with sending out personalized messages of tasks that students need to do. And iBooks, it was essential for our Learning Center to provide e-textbooks. In the JSS, you're able to push out PDF files along with ebooks to these devices so students can read seamlessly. And AirPlay, to create an interactivity environment, all these devices have AirPlay so students can share their screen in classroom and have an engaging environment.
So here you can see our basic network topology. It wasn't a huge focus for us this semester with our project, but we do have a router, a switch, WLC, and an AP to create that basic network functionality so that all the devices can connect and enroll in the JSS. And we're actually hosting our JSS on a Mac Mini, and then we are using a fleet of iPods, iPads, Mac devices, all that have been donated by Jamf.
So, for our live demo, the plan today is to go over a new device deployment to a new professor, as well as a couple app deployments out, one that will install automatically and one that will be available in self-service. And then we are also going to go through a lost or stolen device. So we got a new professor at the Learning Center. His name is Professor Blomberg. Professor Blomberg, like every other staff at the Learning Center, was given an iPad, brand new in the box. And this iPad is able to automatically enroll in the JSS using Apple's device enrollment program. And it does so automatically as soon as the device is powered on and connected to Wi-Fi. You'll see up on the screen the iPad's display. As soon as it connects on to Wi-Fi, it is going to reach out to Apple services, go through the iOS activation process, and then it will automatically communicate with our specific JSS and enroll in it. It will then be fully functional at that point. So you can see it connecting onto Wi-Fi. After that happens successfully, it's going through the activation process here, and it will seamlessly start enrolling in our JSS as well. It's downloading and installing the configuration right now, and the device is now fully functional. Take note of how the home screen looks right now. As the device communicates with our JSS, it is going to install various different applications and configuration profiles to change the layout of the home screen.
So now that our device is enrolled in the JSS, we're able to do a lot of different things with it. A lot of those things are customization options. To demo right now, we are going to change the background image on this iPad to give it a better identifier as to whose iPad it is and where it belongs. So we've created a custom background that we've uploaded, and you can do this simply by going into the JSS, and you can choose to push it out to all devices, just the single device. And we're going to push it out to the single device now. It does take a little bit of time because there is some communication that goes through, but hopefully it'll pop up here pretty quick and you'll be able to see that go through.
So since we're waiting on that, we'll go ahead and move to app management. So as I said earlier, we are able to restrict applications along with pushing out applications. So for instance, Professor Bloomberg has requested that we install Google Docs on this device. So there's a couple of ways as a JSS admin to be able to deploy this out to the device. The first way is to directly install the application to the device right away. In the JSS, you're able to go to the device profile and push out this application. The nice thing about it is that you can also push it out to multiple devices using the volume purchase program, VPP. In this case, it basically is a bulk way to have a access amount of license to push out to these devices. So as we are going through that, there's also another method that we can do, which is to push out the application through the self-service app. With this feature, you're able to have a sort of a customizable field for the instructor. So instead of having the application right away on the device already, with the self-service, the instructor can pick and choose whatever application that they want to install on the device. So for instance, Derek is opening up the self-service and Google Docs is on there. They can download and install that whenever they want on the device. And if they delete the application, they can always go back to that and re-download it.
So during this presentation, we got a report from a student that their iPod got stolen. And Julia, she doesn't know where her iPod went. So the JSS has this awesome feature, it's called Lost Mode. And what Lost Mode allows you to do is it allows you to lock down the device from being utilized. It will also display a personalized message and a phone number on the home screen of the device. It also transmits the location of the device to the JSS so we can find it, and will play a sound on the device as well. Now, it might take a second or two for all this communication to go through due to the fact that mobile device management software is not able to communicate directly with Apple devices.
So that sound means that we have found our lost device. Thank you, I'll be taking it now.
Looks like Brandon stole it.
Yeah, it looks like we stole it. So now that we've found Julia's device, we're gonna go ahead and show you what it looks like with the custom message on the home screen, as well as the number that you can call, and see, you can't get into the device to use it until it is taken out of lost mode. You can also, when it's in lost mode, track its location. So if you look up on the map, you will be able to see it has a pretty detailed and specific location for where it is. So if it hadn't been just in this room here, we could have probably gone and looked for it or had a better idea. Is it at home? Is it at school? Where could it be? So you can see up there, I hope Julia finds me, is our custom message. So it displays that. And after we take the device out of lost mode, it does let us know that the location was transmitted to the JSS. That's a privacy issue so that the user knows that their device was tracked. We're not just looking for it and they have no idea that we've used our services to find them.
And thus concludes our live demonstration. To recap, we had a new professor and he deployed out his device. We also set the background on the device to a customized background for organization purposes. We deployed out a couple applications as well as had a stolen device. Alright, so over the course of this project, we have put in many hours towards getting this pilot up and functioning. The beginning of the semester was a lot of research and learning how exactly to use the JSS, since most of us had not, in fact, used it before. So there was a lot of YouTube videos and research looking up and kind of figuring out exactly how we were going to do everything. And then at the end is the crunch time, as most people have in their timelines as well. And in total, we put about 212 hours between the four of us. So some of the challenges that we faced with this project, as you have heard, there have been power outages throughout the semester. We had not saved all of our configurations the first time properly, so after the power went out and our devices came back online, we had to rebuild our network a couple times, and by the third time the power went out though, we were ready for it, we had that down. So in order for our devices to communicate with the JSS during our live demo here, we had to reach out to the Stout IT team to have a DNS record created. And in the process of doing that, we had to actually change the host name of our JSS to comply with Stout's naming convention. And that involved a few changes on the JSS. We had to change the actual URL as well as a couple certificates. And we were getting an error every time we enrolled the device after this happened. And it usually points to an SSL certificate issue of some sort. And we tried every troubleshooting step that it could have possibly been, and except for one, obviously. The one that it was a simple :A443 at the end of the URL was missing. And that led us to wiping out the database altogether and rebuilding it from scratch from a database backup as well as the web application.
And our last issue was apparently after an iPods or iPads have been sitting in a safe for over a year, you need to charge them for more than like a half hour. We plugged them in and then none of them would turn on, so we kind of panicked for a second. Crap, we're going to need to get new iPads and new iPods because nothing was working. Well, after about 2-3 hours of finally charging, the Apple logo popped up. They had 1% battery, and we thought, oh God, we're saved.
So a couple of learning points, as other capstone groups have mentioned, is time management. We've all had to balance with our weekly schedule of school, make sure that we are meeting outside of class, to make sure that our head is above water and not falling behind. Second learning point is obviously learning the software itself. Thankfully, Jamf had a YouTube channel, so we were able to venture on YouTube and look at tutorials on how to actually go through the JSS to be able to set up certain things. And lastly is team chemistry. As you can see in the logo, we work really well together. We pointed out our weakness and our strengths to make sure that we allocate tasks accordingly.
Yeah, a little bit of back history in the picture. A lot of you laugh because a lot of you know that we've been together for a while, but for those of you who don't, Jordan and I have been together for 3 years now, and we've definitely become the closest of friends. I mean, we've made a logo out of our friendship and named ourselves Prestige Worldwide. And Liv was fortunate, or unfortunate enough, to be taken to join our little band of misfits this semester. And it's really sad, it's a little bittersweet to see it all come to the end in these next couple minutes.
So to wrap things up, we were able to determine this semester that the Learning Center and Jamf Pro really fit well together. Jamf Pro was able to do everything that the Learning Center required, as well as went above and beyond to do further tasks to secure the network and make a great end user experience. And finally, our thank yous from everyone in the Spring Capstone group. We would like to thank the UW Stout Advisory Board, as well as the general UW Stout administration, for providing an awesome learning environment for all of us here.
We also like to thank Jamf for letting us use their software, and Amelia for being our mentor and dealing with us this semester.
We also would like to thank the Stout IT team, specifically the network team, for being able to help us create a DNS record for us to do the demo here, along with Holly Hwan, which is a program director, for positioning us to be able to graduate.
We would also like to thank the CNIT lab workers for enduring very late nights with us as we worked on this project throughout the semester, as well as UW Dining for keeping us fed throughout the semester. Now, before we open the floor for questions, I would just like to, on behalf of everyone here today, thank everyone for joining us, for sticking this late in the day. It went a little over time, but I think we're doing all right. If you would like a tour of the labs, you are able to get in contact with Holly, and that is something she can offer, as well as do not forget 3:30 silver dollar.
Questions? Yes.
For getting DEP, I was in the Jamf group last year. I know those devices are registered in Stout, with the overall department. So do you permission to use that key for capstone then, or?
Yes, yep. We were able to get in contact with the Stout IT team and specifically the team that manages other various different parts about Apple and the device enrollment program here at Stout. And we were able to basically just set up a second MDM server in their DEP with our public key. So we were able to fully integrate with, obviously, the Stout's DEP account. Best for last, minimum questions.
Want to answer more questions. Did you get the opportunity to compare the Jamf software with any other products in the market?
Unfortunately, no. That is one area that I wish we would have been able to do, but no, our main focus this semester was using Jamf Pro.
Okay.